Hello, good evening, and welcome to Monkeys with Fire. How is everybody tonight? Hope you're all well. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. So then, we're going to take a look at another tabletop role-playing game. And this evening, we are going to be exploring Into the Odd from Free League Publishing. This is a remastered version of this game that I believe may have come out in 2014. But this is the first time that I have seen this game. It is rules light, flavour heavy RPG dealing with industrial horror and cosmic strangeness. And to say it's odd is the understatement for sure, but you'll find out as we explore it. My thanks, of course, to Free League Publishing for providing the copy for tonight's show. Regulars to the channel will know, of course, that I am discovering what modern tabletop role-playing games are available on the market. I used to play RPGs back in my college days and then took a large break from them. So, of course, in this time, there are so many different games that are available now of all themes and genres. I am no expert, but by all means, if you have any questions, please do jot them in the chat or leave a comment on the video, and I will do my best to answer them for you. All right, let's jump to the table and let's take a look. So, here we go. Here is Into the Odd from Free League Publishing. Right off the bat, this is a beautifully produced book, but I guess we've come accustomed to that, haven't we, with Free League Publishing's books. So let's just take a look on the back here. A rules-light, flavour-heavy role-playing game of industrial horror and cosmic strangeness. Bastion is the only city that matters. In its industrial age, it sits as the smoke-shrouded hub of mankind, surrounded by a world of lurking horrors and cosmic interference. The underground spreads beneath our feet, and the stars loom above. Very strange indeed. The book is some 144 pages. As you can see, it's one of these sort of digest-sized books, so it's quite handy. It fits into your rucksack, your backpack, nice and easily. The paper quality is incredibly high. The finish on the cover of the book is really nice. There's slightly embossed gloss areas here against the matte of the hard-backed cover. So it's incredibly well put together. As I say, that's what we've become accustomed to with Free League's books. But what I'm going to do, because it's incredibly hot here tonight, I'm going to go and use the PDF version of the book. You do, when you purchase the book directly from Free League, you do get the PDF version as well. Let's put that just here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the dice down, because I am sure we're going to have some dice rolling occurring. There's a few tables in there, and you guys know how much I enjoy a good roll table. All right, let's jump on in. So we'll just we'll shout out some credits here. And normally when we look at role-playing games, we have a whole list of people that are involved in the creation of the games or the supplements that we're taking a look at. But with Into the Odd, we literally have just two names. Chris McDowall is the rules and writing, and I hope I get this correct. Johan Nohr is responsible for graphic design and art, and regulars will be familiar potentially with Johan's name because Johan is responsible for the Morkborg games. So we've of course thoroughly enjoyed looking at Morgborg and Cyborg. So you'll see that some of the art style kind of follows through a little bit. Again, this is a very odd game. Visually, it's very odd. I can't quite put my finger on it. I've got some ideas, but we'll see as we explore. We got our table of contents. I think I said it's 144 pages in total. I do believe that they have added extra content for this remastered version of the game. And so it details here a little bit about the Odd World. Let me just change this a second. There we go. So the world is too large for explorers to map and too old for academics to record. Expeditions return with tales of places bizarre, wondrous and horrific. So the players are explorers braving the unknown in search of riches, knowledge and power. And the citizens flock to Bastion. Bastion is the great city in this world. And as you can see, it kind of gives us a little bit of flavour, but doesn't go into too much detail. And this allows the GM or the referee in this instance to really create the world as they see fit, and for it to be as odd and as strange and as weird as they like. And throughout the book, we're going to get some very, very crazy artwork, which this might inspire or just get the imagination going. So we get a little bit of text here if you're new to RPGs, just giving you an idea of what you need to play. Of course, one player is the referee, the games master, while the other players are actual characters within the game. And we start off with rolling up a character. Now, with most games, you typically have some kind of class or a race to be able to define your character. With this, again, it's very rules light, so literally you are just using 3d6 to basically roll each of your ability scores, that being strength, dexterity and willpower. Within a d6, that is going to be your hit protection. So I think we should have a go at this. We'll get ourselves some scores. Let me just move these out of the way. Get a few more dice. There we go. Okay, so what have we got? That's a 10. 10 is the average, so 10 for our strength. Am I going to get any better than that? 11 for dexterity. Oh wow, that's the score we want. That's 14. So 14 for willpower. So 10, 11 and 14. I'm going to remember that one because that's the score I'm going to need in a second. And then we need to roll a d6 for our hit protection. How many hit points are we going to have? 3. Okay. Not too bad. Okay, so what we then do is we get a starter package. This is detailed on the next pages. This will determine what kind of equipment we're going to start the game with. So we have the score of 14 and the hit points of 3, so conveniently we are on this table. So we scroll our way down and we can see that we have a long axe, that will do D8 damage, but it's a bulky item. We have a throwing axe, or axes, and we have some fire oil. So that is what we are going to start with. Of course, different results will yield different gear. I get the impression that if you don't do particularly well on your scores, you then have slightly either more equipment or special equipment or special abilities to help you along, so that's pretty good. And of course we have the other selection over here. So, what did it say? We had fire oil, didn't we? So, fire oil sets an area alight. All inside take D6 damage each round. Okay, that's pretty good. I guess it's kind of like some sort of fire grenade. Probably the best way to think of it. We can have various tools, luxuries, and of course we can purchase these. Food and drink. Board for a week. Maybe we can hire a beast of burden. We can get a mule or a llama. We can actually have some hirelings. So maybe when we go and adventure beyond Bastion, we might get some help. So, cost per day, we get a lighter boy, a mercenary, or an expert. We have D6 hit points and ability scores of 10 unless noted. So we might need some help. Again, more interesting art design. One thing that came to mind as I was flicking through the game, the art makes me think a little bit in the style of, and this might be going back a little bit, Monty Python's Flying Circus. The sort of mishmash of art styles that, and I got the impression that kind of some of them like feel like they're cut out and laid on top of one another. That's what came to my mind. I don't know if you guys in the chat would agree with me on that as we explore. Okay, so as you play the game, you have a save roll to avoid danger. Roll a d20. If you roll equal or under the appropriate ability score, you pass. So 1 is always a success and 20 is always a failure. So depending on what kind of test, we had strength, we have our dexterity, and we had our will. Our will was pretty good, wasn't it? It was 14. I think our strength was 10. And our dexterity was 11. So we could do a quick roll. Let's see if we... I think for the will, you could use that as a means of convincing somebody. Maybe we need to try and get some information. So we need to get a 14 or less. Let's see what we do. You see... So sometimes I shouldn't put myself into these positions. Of course, I choose the one that I should get the best result on. And inevitably, it never happens, does it? Okay, so turns. Generally, players take their turns before any enemies. But if there's a risk of being surprised, characters must each roll a dexterity save or be unable to act on their first turn. And your actions, you can typically move and then perform an action. The types of actions that are available is you can do an attack. So an attacker rolls a die dictated by their weapon and subtracts the opponent's armor score. Their attack causes this much damage. Ranged weapons cannot be used in melee. Attacks that are impaired, such as firing through cover or fighting while grappled, roll d4 damage regardless of the weapon. Similarly, attacks that are enhanced by a risky stunt or a hapless or vulnerable target roll d12. Blast weapons, so that's maybe our fire oil, isn't it? Cause damage to all targets in the appropriate area. Damage. When an individual takes damage, they lose that many hit points. If they have no hit points left, they are wounded, and any remaining damage is removed from their strength score. They must then pass a strength save to avoid critical damage. Oh, okay. Critical damage. A character that takes critical damage is unable to take further action until they are tended to by an ally or have a short rest. If they are left for an hour without being tended to, they die. Wow. So, as we said right at the start, this is rules light. There is not massive amount of tables for us to go through. Lots of rules to remember. It's very, very simple. Just a couple of paragraphs here, and pretty much now we know how to play the game. Now, one of the key factor of Into the Odd is trying to find Arcanum. A character can use an Arcanum's power as a normal action. So some characters do start with Arcanum, but of course we are venturing out to find maybe the more powerful kinds. Ability score loss. If a character has their strength score reduced to 0, they are dead. If their dexterity or will are reduced to 0, the character is paralysed or mentally broken respectively, and cannot act until they have a full rest. When a character dies, the player creates a new character, and the referee finds a way to have them join the group as soon as possible. So, you know, maybe don't get too attached to your character. Maybe venturing out from Bastion, maybe not many get back. Somebody deprived of a crucial need, food, water or warmth, cannot benefit from rest. This is very straightforward. Reactions. When the group encounters another being, the character to initiate contact must pass a will save to avoid an unfavourable first reaction. Some encounters are always hostile or always friendly, but all have the potential to change after first contact. That's interesting. Let's try that will save again. Maybe we have ventured out and we meet another exploring party. Let's see if they are going to be favourable to us and greet us as friends, or maybe they've had a hard time out there and they are very skittish, and that being the case, anyone that is near them, approaches them, they are liable to attack. Let's find out what we get. Oh, a 1! A 1! Fantastic. Well, there you go. 1 is an instant success, and I dare say it's obviously a success with a little bit of a bonus. So maybe they are able to, first of all, greet us friendly, but also then maybe give us some hints and tips as far as where our little group needs to go. It details a little bit about various restings, which will allow us to regain our hit points, or if we have any conditions, to be able to resolve those. And then we go on to the Arcana. As I say, your character may start with some Arcana, but ultimately you are trying to find them out there in the world. As it says, Arcana are the most highly sought after items in the world. Characters that are open about Arcana they carry are targeted by collectors and charlatans. If a character's starting package contains an Arcanum, roll D66 to see which one they get. Let's do that. Let's see what we get. We're going to have the black dice as the 10s. We'll have the red as the units. Let's see what we get. And that's a 32. Okay. What have we found? Strands of suffering. Strands spread between two surfaces up to 20 feet apart. Those within only move very slowly and painfully unless they pass a dexterity save. Okay, that's very strange. And a little bit terrifying. Maybe are they like sort of microfilament strands? are they maybe invisible to view? And people get caught up in them. Maybe this is something that you could set up as a trap. Or maybe they cause them many sort of slight cuts. Maybe it cuts through metal and cloth as easily as a hot knife through butter. Let's try another one. Let's see what else we might find. A 45. A howling lantern. Blowing into the lantern causes a roar that terrifies prey animals but attracts predators. Okay. I'm not quite sure I'd want to do that. There's a whole variety. Oh, heat ray. One metal object becomes too hot to touch. If it cannot be quickly dropped or removed, the wielder suffers D8 damage, ignoring armor. That's very much a sort of Martian War of the Worlds heat ray. I like that. And that's the kind of picture this game has created in my imagination. I am thinking of a late 19th century kind of setting, but with technology that is much greater, and with this, as it says, this cosmic strangeness. There is a video game that I've played. I think it's called Dishonored. And that was what jumped into mind when I thought of what Bastion might be like and the types of weapons and the types of characters that you might meet. If you're familiar with that game, or if you're not, go and check it out and see if you agree. Leave a comment in the chat or on the video if you agree with what I'm kind of thinking this game might be. What else do we have? A moon lens. Look at two objects and ask a question. The lens highlights the one that best answers the question. It cannot predict the future. Ooh. An Inquisitor's HUD. Speak a question with two possible answers. The target must pass a will save or answers as honestly as they can. If they pass their save, you blurt out an inconvenient truth. That's cool. I like that one. Okay, so legendary arcana. These arcanas are likely to be known relics. They tend to be large objects like altars or thrones. Those that are unclaimed remain so for a reason. Only the most powerful individuals would openly admit to possessing a legendary arcanum, as they are desired by anybody that craves power. Powers you shouldn't control. A rebirth coffin. A corpse is miraculously restored to life if they pass a will save. If they fail the save, the remains are utterly destroyed. As I say, don't get too attached to your characters. Quake Spire targets a 100-foot area. All structures take D20 damage and cave or tunnels collapse, causing D6 damage per round to anybody within until they escape. So these are things that potentially the GM could set up in maybe there is a task, a quest, to go into maybe a magistrate's house, and maybe we find out that this magistrate does have one of these legendary arcana. Maybe they have been causing issues in the city. Again, I think there's oh gosh. In fact, actually, I think is it called Arcane? There's an animated show on Netflix that's making me. It's making me think of that as well. I think there's lots of influences out there that you could potentially take some ideas from to inspire the types of adventures you might go on. the type of style that your character might be in or what they might be up against. Oh gosh, we've got more. Statue of a golden chariot. You and your allies fight to the death even after taking critical damage. Wow, that's pretty mean. I don't think you want to be anywhere in the vicinity of this statue of the golden chariot. These are quite cool. Disturbing, but cool. And so it gives us an example of play. This is 3 player characters and their hireling, Lighter Boy, deep in the underground. So it's just going through, giving examples, showing off the various mechanics that we've just gone through. Giving some ideas. So once you come back from your expedition, as I say, your goal is to find valuable treasure or powerful arcana, but then you are able to improve your character. So when a character has completed the listed requirements, they move to the next experience level. Each time they advance a level, they gain D6 HP and roll a D20 for each of their ability scores. If the roll is higher than the score, it is increased by 1. Reputation. As they advance through experience levels, characters may be treated differently by people they encounter. So this is interesting. I've not seen this kind of sort of experience level rewards done in other games. So we all start off then as novices, a brand new character ready to go on an expedition. So that's what we're starting with. If you have survived at least one expedition, you become a professional. So as it just said, NPCs are going to go, okay, well, we've seen that you've come back, so you've survived, so we've got to give you a little bit of respect here. Expert, you've survived at least 3 dangerous expeditions since reaching professional level, so in other words 4 missions. So now you're starting to get a little bit more renown in Bastion. Veteran, you have survived at least 5 dangerous expeditions since reaching expert level and have taken on an apprentice. Okay, that's interesting. Master, you have an apprentice of at least expert level and have survived a dangerous expedition with them since reaching veteran level and beyond. Even upon reaching master level, a character may have greater ambitions. This could be a desire for a legacy, immortality, or cosmic transcendence. Okay, so you can take on an apprentice then. Is this kind of the NPCs that you can purchase? So between expeditions, you can try your hand at a business enterprise or muster an organized military force. So this is interesting and very, very different. New enterprises generate D4 gold of income each month. They also face a threat that causes D4 gold in losses unless dealt with. If an enterprise makes profit, its income moves up to the next type of die, to a maximum of a D12. Apprentices. At any point you may decide to take on an apprentice, taking a willing non-player character or roll them up as a new and advance them through the experience levels as normal under your guidance. So effectively you could be controlling your character and also then your apprentice. That's cool, I like that. And then we've got battles. A detachment attack against individuals are enhanced. Detachments are not harmed by individual attacks unless they are explosive or subtly large scale. Casualties, improvements, ships and structures. So this is an interesting sort of side to the game. And then we have some sample leaders. And then details on ships and structures. We can have cannons and houses and factories, galleons and warships. I think I would go for some kind of enterprise. I think that's what my character might get involved in more than the actual combat side. I mean, who would we be fighting? Would we be fighting another city? Is there maybe internal squabbles within Bastion? Is it a little bit maybe Roman-esque? Maybe there are various armies within the city. It doesn't necessarily detail how large the city is, so maybe it could encompass quite a few. We get to chapter 8 and it gives us some details on basically how to be a GM. A good referee presents the players with interesting choices and ensures that these choices have a meaningful impact on the game. And detailing about our ability scores. So we typically have an ability score between 5 and 15. Scores 1 and 20 represent the far extremes. So, and then no ability scores is listed assumed as 10. We had a 10, 11 and a 14, didn't we? Of course, we've got our 3 abilities of strength, dexterity and will. Detailing on luck rolls, damage, a little bit of detail on lengths of turns. And then we go on to treasure and riches, different types of treasures from gems to artwork to functional items. Traders try to haggle this price, or in the case of expensive items, may not be able to afford it at all. So detailing the money. So we've got silver standard shillings. So 1 shilling is the amount a typical factory worker earns in the day. Copper pennies, gold guilders, banknotes. Oh, too far. Detailing about discovering Arcana. So they must pass a will save to understand its power before using it. Okay, we got a roll for that. So this is under 14. Are we going to understand what this golden box that we have in our hand is going to do? Of course we're not. And suddenly we open a dimension to hell and we are lost forever. So here we go. A utopian gate. This metal structure acts as a portal to another world. If someone spends an hour carrying out the required ritual, closing the portal requires a will save, or the character loses D12 will, and the portal remains open. Passage to and from the other world is instant and unrestricted. So I think that's an example of the big Arcana. But I think we opened up a golden puzzle box that has now trapped us. Oh, that's typical. Okay, so we got disposable Arcana and Arcana weapons. So disposable Arcana may require that something be consumed or might disappear entirely after 1 or more uses, whereas Arcana weapons function as a weapon alongside their ability. They may still function quite differently to a normal weapon of their type. A blue iron death gun. This heavy gun fires a beam of whistling blue light in place of a shot. The gun ignores armor, and anyone taking critical damage from the gun explodes in blue fire. Anyone caught in this blast takes D6 damage. I like it. I want a blue iron death gun. That's cool. Okay, so of course, obstacles, tricks, and hazards. So most hazards should allow a dexterity save to avoid the danger at the last second. So as a general rule, the presence of a trap or other hazard is always noticed by characters unless they are running, visually impaired, or distracted. So that's up to the GM to decide. Most hazards should allow a dexterity save to avoid the danger at the last second. The player should consider creative ways of avoiding a hazard or disarming it completely. That's cool. So getting the players to actually concoct some way of getting past the hazard as opposed to necessarily just a roll. Risky methods call for a save or luck roll. Rusty old traps may only trigger on a low luck roll, even if the characters stumble right into them. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, locked doors. Yes, well, we always have locked doors, don't we? Wandering encounters. So the referee rolls up D6 each time the group moves into a new area. Loiters or makes a noise. A roll of 1 means the group encounters something. Roll of 2 means they hear something approaching or nearby. 3 to 6 means there's no encounter. What might we meet? Well, we have some sample hazards. Swinging blades. Grasping vines. Traitor's circle. Triggered by entering the circle marked with a symbol depicting a dagger being thrust into a heart. Gosh. A will save or immediately attack your closest ally, continuing until knocked unconscious. If you pass the save, you are thrown out of the circle. Wow, that's actually pretty brutal. That's not good. We then have encounters. Characters and monsters should all have something that they desire and are working towards. And we get some examples of monsters. What monsters might we find into the odd? A dust hag? A strange hunter? A beckoning shadow? So, beckoning shadow must stick to a surface as a normal shadow, but can pass from one side of a surface to another. Tries to lure targets to touch it. Upon touching the shadow, the victim loses D6 will each turn. Escaping the shadow's grip requires a will save or repelling the shadow. Immune to normal attacks. Can only manipulate objects touching the surface. The shadow is repelled by light and destroyed if unable to find shelter. Wow. So it's driven to trick the foolish. Wow. So this would be a little bit like a dark Peter Pan's shadow. Being a little bit tricksy, beckoning the players. Miming them, getting their attention. Players always have a tendency to be inquisitive, to want to find out more. And then, of course, they are trapped. That's cool. I like that one. A bone crawler. Driven to implant a host. So these are the motivations of these monsters. This is what the GM has to constantly keep in mind. So this bone crawler is always wanting to implant a host. Very alien-esque. Attacks with claws and climbs walls and ceilings effortlessly. Anyone dealt critical damage is pinned down as the crawler discolates discollates its joints and enters the victim's mouth. On the crawler's next turn, it enters the victim's body, killing them, and enters a month-long hibernation state before emerging in its greater form. Ooh! Okay, that's not good. Oh, so is that then meaning... Oh, I thought it was going to be the colossal shell beast, but it's not, is it? What's the greater form? Oh, it's there. Oh, I see. It's down at the bottom. So it goes from strength 12 to strength 18, dexterity 18 down to 15 because it's bigger. Its will goes from 7 to 10. Its hit points go from 6 to 12. And then it has D10 claws and 1 armor. Oh, yes, it's very much like an alien, isn't it? That's something you don't want to come across. Okay, so the Odd World, Bastion, hub of mankind. Bastion is the only city that matters. Its skies are black with smoke and its streets bustling with residents. Vast factories produce mass goods, fed by canals and rail from every corner of the world. Mobs flood the streets with hanged corpses in their search for otherworldly imposters. Meanwhile, the star cults have vastly different beliefs and agendas, rarely coexisting peacefully. The city does not sound like a great place to be, but that small description triggers the imagination, but then allows the GM to create their kind of Bastion. We've already mentioned a few visual cues that might be something to take some reference from. Maybe sort of Gotham City-esque, but just lots and lots of factories. Maybe it's multi-layered. Maybe we have bridges crossing and walkways. Maybe there's a lattice network. Maybe, again, another idea I had was maybe it's a little bit like a industrial factory Minas Tirith with various levels going up. So, something like that, maybe. Oh, that's an idea. Maybe Bastion goes so high that the smog covers the lower levels, but maybe the rich, they live in the higher levels beyond the smog level. And maybe those levels actually have some green area. That's interesting. I always like the idea of having some kind of power divide between the peoples in any major city. So that could be quite cool. We do have an underground. So Bastion sits on a network of tunnels and vaults that act as everything from banks and smuggling routes to catacombs and sewers. Okay, so we've always got something, some depth, some undergrounds. And then beyond, we have the deep country. With so much of the populace driven to Bastion, stretches of the countryside have been completely abandoned. Those that choose a rural life are often fiercely dismissive of city dwellers. We have some mining towns and noble estates out there in the deep country. And then other cities. Maybe this is where we have our military force. Maybe there is another city that is trying to take over Bastion, with it being the principal city. Maybe that's where our military gets involved. And then beyond the Golden Lands, a rumoured land of limitless power. Theories place it beyond the sea or even beyond the stars, and no expedition has been able to provide a consistent answer. There is an increasing doubt that it even exists within our reality. And then the polar ocean. The great polar ocean stretches as far north as anyone has ventured. Few return, and each brings a different story. Something always prevents the journey reaching a destination, but the explorers always return drastically changed. So again, we've got these little nuggets of ideas for us to be able to build upon. So this is the start of the introductory adventure. I am going to throw up the spoiler screen now. So if you are intending to play into the Odd, then you might want to stop now. Of course, for Games Masters, then you carry on because this will give you an idea of how an adventure can be set up. So you have been warned. All right. So, well, there we go. It says, stop reading if you intend on playing in these locations. So each room has the immediately apparent features listed. Details listed in the parentheses require further investigation to be revealed. So under the iron coral. So it's given us, this is a location that our adventurers, our explorers can go out to. And it's detailing how the iron coral has come into existence. And I found this is an interesting way of setting up an adventure. I've never seen anything quite like this. Again, it's odd. it's very odd. So the iron coral, a strange mix of metallic and coralline materials, seeming both artificial and organic. And as you can see, there is this map, this roughly drawn map with different rooms and corridors, each with a number. And we mentioned before this sort of layering of bits of paper, of assets on top of one another, and this sort of exemplifies that really well. It feels like there are just little pieces of paper just placed on. And so basically the numbers refer to these areas. So 0 was on the coral, and it gives the GM a few little points, a little, to basically give a description. So on the coral area, that beach, there is grey coral, which is the metallic. There's the sea, which is frothing and whooshing on in, but there's dead fish floating within the sea that get brought up onto the beach. And then there is a slope downwards, which is rough and dark. And this goes down into Area 1. So let's just go back quickly here. We can take a look. So you can see there, we had the description of the beach, the 0 area. We can see an arrow pointing down this dark corridor as we venture into the coral. And that brings us into a nearly square room, which is number 1. And what does it say about number 1? The pit. It's a dark cave with echoing waves. Echo sounds metallic. Maybe this is from the grey coral. There is a crawlway, which is damp and leads to Area 5. There's an alcove, which is to Area 2. There's a foam-filmed passageway, salty and harmless, to 13. There's a red coral wall, soft and meaty, can be hacked away to access free. There's a chute, which is narrow, it's 20 feet down and leads to 4. And of course the slope leads back up to 0. This is a really interesting way. And I can imagine then, by using this sort of style, you could quite easily create your own locations with just a few keywords to be used as a prompt to describe it to the players. So I thought this was really cool. And you can see there's obviously a whole variety of different locations within this iron coral, but we do have a wandering encounter. So let's roll that. Let's see what our adventurers, our explorers may find. A 6. An untrustworthy treasure hunter. So that's interesting. So maybe what we do is we announce them purely as a treasure hunter to start off with. Maybe they're here to help. Maybe they can give our explorers a little bit of information to start off with. But maybe they have their eye on our gold, our Arcana that we have with us, and maybe they wait for us when we are asleep. So we got a few pages here of the various rooms and how they all link together. I like this. I think this is really cool. Oh gosh, that's a lot of red where a head should be. Again, it's all very, very interesting art. I guess you could spend quite a bit of time studying the art and trying to see what it's trying to say. Okay, so that first area, let's just go back, is level 1. And I think if we're looking at this, it might be, let's have a look at 14. There's some stairs at 14. Let's have a quick look. Aha, there we go. So area 14, there's a stairway down to level 2, room 1. Okay, so level 2, room 1. And yep, there we go. We can see the stairs and into that room. So again, there's another 20 or so locations in this underground breach, following the same layout. And it'll be something similar then, going into level 3, halls of glass and gold. This is cool. I like this. Oh, echoes of the iron coral. The coral changes with each passing day. When you enter the coral for the first time each day, after the first roll a d6. Wow, the slope down from room 0 on level 1 leads to this echo instead of room 1. Any other passages leading to room 1, level 1, take you there as normal, and you can still exit via the slope. Oh, this is interesting. This is definitely the strangeness of the game. And oh wow, so there's six different sort of starting echoes. That's cool. We then have the Fallen Marsh, a soggy place with hazardous fog and hideous odour. Each year the land sinks deeper and has become overgrown with thick vegetation. Even the local wildlife has grown odd. Okay, so from the iron coral, the group can see marshland stretching east towards Hope's End, and a tower with a burning beacon on top of the south east, X19. Ah, now I think... Right, okay, so... gives you an idea of how much greater this game then expands. So... we were in that very first hex, which is the iron coral. And we have all these other hexes for our explorers to explore. So that's quite something. So there's 3 levels to the Iron Coral, and now we have, what's that, 24 locations, and we have Hope's End as well, and we got a beacon on Hex 19 down in the southeast. What's location 1? So each hex contains a random encounter. All right, let's find out what we get. A 6. What do we find? 2 idiots ineffectively hunting monsters with a large piece of meat as bait. I can imagine that maybe one of these idiots is actually going to be the bait. Okay. And now, again, following the similar method, we have each of these hexes detailed to us. This is cool. I like this a lot. So hex 1 is the beach, but you can see that obviously that beach is quite large. So we've got the seashells and the dead fish, we've got dunes, and we do have the iron coral looming from the ocean. But what else do we have? We have the wooden walkway, a rope tunnel, golden meadow, and a ruined square. This is a neat way. Oh, and that's good. It gives us the map again so we don't lose track of it. The body pit, a mass grave of burnt corpses. This is a really, yeah, I like this a lot. This is a cool way of abstractly detailing the locations, where your explorers can go. This is actually a neat idea. Oh, okay. Marsh myths. Everybody you meet in the Fallen Marsh knows at least a few myths, and will share them if they like you or want to scare you. They speak in fragments and riddles, but it's all true. They'll even point you in the right direction. D12. Let's roll. Let's find out. What myth might we hear? Ha! 1. The White Sanctuary. Taken by a thing from the depths of a night sky. They tried fire, acid, guns, but it always grew back, taking our brothers and sisters out of spite. See Hex 24. So the White Sanctuary. Now, is that the thick wood? Long grass? Path to clearing. But is that going to be further on? Ah, no, here we go. So we do actually have some details in the various hexes. So this is Hex 10, the Hero's Tomb. Just go back just to make sure it lines up. We've got a ruined square. So maybe this is where you go on in. This is very cool. The Burning Tower on Hex 19. Yes, it said that. That was in the southeast, wasn't it? Green Caves on Hex 22. Ah, Overgrown Shrine. Hex 24. Okay, that's cool. I like this a lot. And I think this is actually is an easy way to make your little map, make your environment. You know, I think maybe some people get intimidated a little bit by, you know, necessarily drawing their maps. But I think this abstract way of doing it, this really works. I like it. So, Hope's End, the last port of the north. Giving us some details here on this location. Giving us more details on this than it did on Bastion, but I appreciate that. I want Bastion to be something that I can create. All the people that we might meet. At any given time, there are 2 ships from Bastion. So we can get an idea of what vessels might be available. And then we have the Oddpendium. This companion provides additional material for both referees and players. What do we have here? So we got lots of tables. Tables are good. Borough Council decisions. General public reaction. Bastion's cast of thousands. So from this you're able to... It's a name generator. Creating many, many, many NPCs. Good evening, Roger. It's okay. We're actually coming to the end, so you'll be able to watch the video. Watch it on the replay. This has been a lot of fun. It's called Into the Odd, and to say it's odd is an understatement, but it's rather wonderful. Oh, this is actually quite cool. Okay, so we have cast of thousands. We have a forename and a surname. We then have their occupation and capability. We then have their manner and connection. I think we need to roll for it. This is definitely rolling. Okay, D100. Ah, do we have... Yep, D100, D10. All right, let's do this. So, first name. Oh, well, that's good. What's a 10 going to be? See, it's a 10s, isn't it? That's 11. 11. Calhead? Or Clate? Clate? I'm going to go with Calhead, just in case. And we're going to go with 85. Calhead Tumble. There we go. We got a name. All right. Then we need an occupation for Calhead. Calhead is 33. A gin maker. Okay. Liking them already. Their capability. 5. Boringly dependable. Okay. So, yeah, we're going to get the gin. We're definitely going to get the gin. They're going to just talk about the gin all the time. But gin's good. We like gin. What's that? That's a 4. They are big, fat glutton. Okay, so a rather rotund gentleman. And the connection, how do they know our character? Oh gosh, 0. It can't be a 0. Is that going to be... That's just 0, that's pure 0. Then our uncle. There we go, let's go with that. So there we go. We have an uncle who creates gin, who clearly might be drinking the profits somewhat. I like this. That's good fun. Oh, what happened to them? What happened to them? Three. Arrested rightfully for a major crime. So boringly dependable, yet went off and committed a major crime. I said I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it. Oh, fantastic. Oh, okay. What street? I'm rolling 00 just constantly now. Point of interest. It's a meeting fountain. Is that 59? Let's go with 59. And it's bird infested, so this fountain just has birds swimming around, flying around all over the place. Illegal gin. Yes, maybe that's the thing. Or maybe they were using ingredients that is considered illegal. Is there a link to the underground? 56. A hidden stairway indoors. Quickest route across town. Yeah, I like this. This is cool. 72. Through the old town. I guess this allows you, I mean, you, as a GM, you could create intricate maps, but of course, this is a way of sort of randomizing locations and making it interesting for your players. So we got greatest businesses, weird creature inspiration. Oh, we got to do that one. That looks like a good one. 23. Liquid metal. It's the T1000. What's its form? 24. A crustacean. It's a T1000 crab or lobster. And there's always a twist. There's always a twist. 70. Implants with egg parasites. We've had a lot of the alien vibe this evening, haven't we? So, yes, there's definitely that going on. Astral cults. With symbols. What's beyond the darkness? What's that island? So we could get a ship. Oh! 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 We can have an island that has monkeys with guns. Yes! Yes, yes, yes! That's what we want. We want an island with monkeys with guns. Of course we do. I like it. 42. I eat the stuff, and I'm blind for D6 hours. Island of the Apes. Yes. Is this thing an arcanum? What type of power does it hold? Alternative character groups. Wow. Mutations. Simple folk. This is cool. This is very, very cool. Unhumans. And there we go, that's it. So right at the end, it is just lots of tables for you to be able to generate NPCs, items, strange creatures. Yep, I like it. That's cool. So there we go. That is Into the Odd. And I'd say it does live up to its title. It is a very, very strange game, but that's the beauty of it. I think it gives you the freedom as a GM to create a very weird and wonderful game experience. And the good thing about it is that the rules are super light, so you could pretty much get something going quite easily. You could be playing in your first session, not a problem. Yeah, I like this. It's very different. Very different. I'm going to spend some time and look at the artwork and trying to understand what it's telling me. So there we go. That's Into the Odd from Free League Publishing. Okay. We're going to be doing another TTRPG on Thursday at 7 o'clock. And we're going to be going to another post-apocalyptic world. But this time we have backup, because we are going to be lumbering around in mechs. So this is Salvage Union, a mech tabletop role-playing game. I'm very much looking forward to this. It's a good game from what I have looked at, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys on the channel on Thursday night. So if you are free, come and join me then. So there we go. Roger, thanks very much for dropping by. Do check out the video. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them for you. Have a good rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you on Thursday. But until then, bye for now.